Hello everyone. Today we will talk about Jmix Maps add-on, and we'll take a look at practical example of integrating maps to the existing Jmix application. Adding a map to an application is a common task across various business sectors. Let's examine the primary use cases where Jmix features are most applicable. These use cases can be divided into three categories. It is real-time tracking, business management software, and business analysis. Real-time tracking encompasses three types of applications. It is delivery tracking, fleet tracking, and field operation tracking. In all these use cases, the web application should offer the capability to monitor the current location of parcels, vehicles, or field specialists. We, as a Holman Group, have developed an impressive digital product for taxi dispatching and fleet management, named Sherlock Taxi. This system extensively utilizes map features to provide internal administrators with comprehensive visibility of vehicles' locations and their roads. You can find more details on the dedicated Sherlock product web page. And the last category is business analysis. We see a specific demand to utilize maps for analyzing business data in a connection with geographic view. Here we also identify three types of applications. It is business operations, geo-marketing, and risk zones. In all cases, map capabilities are used for data representation with specific view features like heat mapping, clustering, etc. All these capabilities are fully covered with Jmix Maps add-on. Today we will go through the straightforward process of setting up an interactive map using Jmix Maps add-on. You'll learn how to define the map's behavior using Java, set up the layout with an XML descriptor, and easily connect it with the data sources. We will work with an onboarding application. It is a tool designed to assist newcomers as they navigate through all necessary steps when starting a new role or position. In this video, we will add an interactive map component. This component will enable users to select their base location, choosing between an office or co-working space. Before we move on to the map component, we will take care of some preparatory steps. We need to get acquainted with the project and figure out how to store coordinates of location. Let's take a look at project. This is the Jmix project where we'll embed the map component. Let's take a look at data model. The project has 5 entities, and the first entity is a user. All applications data model revolves around the user, and it has details like username, password, onboarding status, department link, and other properties. The next entity is the department. Every employee belongs to department, and department is run by HR manager. Here we have step entity. It is a task that can be assigned to a user that should be completed. And the user step entity. It is a step assignment entity. It can be assigned to a user or employee that this task should be completed. It has a link to a user and to a step. And the last one is location. Location describes office or co-working space. Okay, let's take a look at launched application. Application contains different views for different users. For instance, HR managers can create new users and assign onboarding steps. Let's take a look at ALS. Here we can generate the onboarding steps, and here we can see them. And for instance, for employee, let's log in as a simple employee. For instance, Mary username. Employees can see all assigned onboarding steps and can complete them. For instance, we can complete the first step, and it is stored in the database. Okay, I think we know application a little. So, and I think we should move to the map component feature. As we said before, we will enable users to select location, but the location should be stored somewhere. We will store coordinates in the database using location entity. The location entity also contains information about type, is it office or co-working space. The type information is stored in enumeration, which is called location type. To be able to locate our offices or coworkings on a map, we need to define its coordinates. Jmix has a special type of properties for each type of vector geometries that will be projected on the map. Geospecific types come from Java topology suite library, and it includes the following types. It is point, polygon, line string, and other multi-types. It is multi-point, multi-polygon, and multi-line string. And these types correspond to the Jmix data types. These data types available from Studio and designers. These types we will use to store our location coordinates. The project has already contained the maps add-on. If you create application from scratch and you want to add the maps add-on, you can use the marketplace here. You can scroll it. You can scroll to find the maps add-on or use the search field. After you add the maps add-on, the build file will contain the premium repository and two dependencies, maps starter and maps flow UI starter. Okay, let's create new attributes for location entity. We will store coordinates using a point, and this property we'll call the building. The point will help to quickly find the office or co-working space on the map. We'll call it building, and here we select the geo point type. A property will be mandatory. Okay. And we will use geo polygon type to allocate building area. That is area of office or co-working space. We will call it building area, and we'll select geo polygon. Okay, the location entity has its own list and detailed views. We can find it here. So we can add these new attributes to all views. We will use the panel above, and we'll click on Add Attributes to Views. We'll select all available properties for all views and press OK. Let's restart our application because we need to apply our changes in data model. We'll apply leaky-based changelog. I think the data model is complete. Now we can check how our location will be shown in the map. We will add the map component to location detail view. Let's navigate to it. Location detail view. And I will use the Jmix component tree. Here I will press add component, type geomap, and I will and now we can configure this geomap component. I need to assign the ID map, and we must specify the sizes of this component. We need to specify the 100% for height and the same value for width. Then we need to configure the layers of this map component. Maps has 5 layer types. The first type is a heat map. Heat map shows data as heat points. Image layer allows us to show the static image from our resources, for project resources, or for instance from some URL. And the tile layer tile layer allows us to load tiled images using the XYZ format. And vector layer allows us to show the data as point, polygon, polylines, and so on. Firstly, we need to specify the tile layer because we need to show the world map. For layer, we need to specify the source. The source response for which from which service or from service or server we will load the tiled images. We will use OSM source. This is a predefined source which loads information from OpenStreetMap. And the next layer will be vector layer. For vector layer, we will use the data vector source because it can work with the data container. We will use location DC from here, and we must specify the property from which we will show the data. We will use building property. Okay, let's check it in our application. Let's go to location, create new, and now we can see the map component. The same source load tiles from OpenStreetMap, thus we can see the world map. And now we need to add new coordinates for this location. The Google Maps will help us to get the coordinates. We can copy them from this service, but before we copy it, we need to mention a few important things. For all geotypes, Jmix generates text fields because geotypes are serialized to string to be stored in the database. For instance, you can see the building area is a text field, and building property also is a text field. The serialized form of geo-specific type is essentially the WKT format. This serialization ensures that this partial information is efficiently stored and retrieved from the database. Another important thing is the coordinates from Google Maps are represented as latitude and longitude order. But GTS library requires the reverse order of coordinates because of Cartesian system coordinate. Let's copy some coordinates from Google Maps. Let's copy coordinates, for instance, from Berlin. And now I need to specify this format for text field. Here we have building. I need to type point and pass the coordinates. And then I need to use reverse order of coordinates. And you can see we can see the immediately applied changes because of data binding. Okay, let's save this entity. I will enter some information, for instance, some street and city Berlin. Okay, let's specify location type. For instance, it will be office, and I press OK. The coordinates is stored in database, and now we can see that we can see the marker from this location instance. Okay, I think now we got familiar how to store coordinates and show them in the map component. We used a vector layer and data vector source. So let's return to our task. We should allow users to select their working location. This slide shows the view with a list of available locations. And on the right side, we can see the map where we can see these locations. Let's take a look closer to this view, because the project has a predefined view. It is called location lookup view. You can find it in user interface, in views, location lookup view. This view contains collection container of location entity, and it has optional condition. This condition takes value. It filters locations by location type and takes value from select component. Also, we have entity picker. This field contains current selected location. And we have virtual list. This list renders all locations as a list. For instance, we can find it, we can see it here. It is a virtual list. Here we have select component, and this is current location field. Well, I think it's time to add map component and show existing offices and coworkings. We will add the map component here. I will use the same steps as did before. Add component, I will type geomap. And I need to specify the ID, it will be map, and sizes. 100%, and for this, 100%. We will also specify the tile layer and vector layer. We will use the OSM source. And for vector layer, we will use data vector source. And now we specified also ID for vector and data vector source. This will be building layer, and this will be building source. We'll specify locations DC data container, and we'll specify the property, the building. Okay, our component is complete for now. Let's take a look at controller, view controller. Here we can see the injected current location field, and we have two methods, getter and setter, for this for selected location. Also, we have handler for select action. This select action is defined here. We have two actions. The cancel just close this view, and select action, it is disabled by default, and this action will be enabled when we will select the new location. This section closes view with standard outcome select. And maybe there is a question from which this location lookup view is opened. This view is opened from user details. User details contains a location field, and this section will open this lookup, location lookup view. This is our select that can filter the locations. This is current select location, and here we will see the map component. Let's go to the user detail view. This is location field, and this is select action. This action is handled from here. This action opens the location lookup view as dialog, and it sets the location if user contains the location. And after the location lookup view is closed, for instance, with select outcome, we get the selected location and set it to the location field. I'm sorry. Okay, let's hot deploy our changes in location lookup view, and we can see our component here. Is not shown. Probably I need to restart the application to apply the changes. In general cases, the hot deploy should work because we just changed the layout. We just added the new component, and it will be applied. Let's reload our application page. I'm sorry, it's not shown. Let's maybe location lookup view. Yes, it is not shown. Because I placed it in wrong place. It should be in each box. Now the hot deploy should work. I will refresh the page again, and will open. And now I can see our component. I see the data binding works well, but I think we need more sample data because now we can see only the one marker from some street location, and it is quite difficult and time consuming to manually adding sample data. So I just copy the prepared base change log and we'll apply it in our project. I need to paste it here, and I need to, in data stores, invoke the update. Okay, let's refresh our page and reopen our location lookup view. Now we can see a lot of markers. I think now the example becomes more interesting. And as you remember, location entity, in addition to building property, has building area property. We can also show them in the map, but in separated vector layers. We need to add new vector layer to the map component here, new vector layer, and new data vector source. We need to specify an ID also. It will be building area layer, and almost the same ID for the source. We will use the same data container, but we will use different property, the building area property. Save the changes, refresh the page, and let's take a look at some application. Now we can see the polygon, but the polygon we can see covers the marker. We need another order of these layers because then we will try to add click listener to the marker. So let's change the order of our vector layers. Do the same things. And let's navigate through some location. Now we can see that the polygon doesn't cover the marker. Okay. Now we can see also polygons, but we still cannot select a location. To do this, we have to add a little interactivity to the map component. The map component provides the following events to listen. The first event is click events. It has just click event, single click event. The single click event, it is a delayed event because it waits 250 milliseconds to ensure that it is not double click and double click. Zoom changed, zoom changed event. This event is fired when zoom value is changed, and move end event. This event is fired when the map center coordinates are changed. And also there is a zoom to methods that navigate center of the map to a specified geometry, feature, or extent. In our example, it will be convenient for users to select a location by clicking on its marker on the map. Once a user chooses a marker on the map, the selected location is assigned to the current location field. We need to add click listener to a data vector source. By this click, we will select location and navigate map center to it. Let's go to our project. We need to inject the data vector source instance to our controller. We can do it, for instance, from this section, or for instance, from Jmix component tree. I will select building source and click on inject to controller. Now we have building source instance. This instance we will init on a specific lifecycle event of view. We will use init event. From this event, we will invoke new method. We will call it init building source. We'll call it from on init method. And here we will specify GeoObject click listener. We will get click event instance. And from this instance, we can get the location that corresponds to this marker, the clicked marker. Then we need set map center to this location, to this marker, and then we need to change current location. Let's implement set map center method. We'll call it set map center, and this method will takes the geometry. It is a point for location. For building, we use a point, so we will take this type here, but we will use general type, which is called geometry. We get it from GTS library. And then we need to use the map component instance. We also need to inject it to the controller. And here we will use fit method. Fit method takes fit options, and fit options need to specify the geometry or feature, or for instance extent. We will use geometry, and we will specify the max zoom. It will be 20. Then we need to specify the animation. We will use using animation linear. And we also need to specify the duration. It will be 2 seconds. Okay, let's invoke this method from here, set map center. location. From location, we will get the building property. And now we should implement the current location change. We will create new method and call it onLocationChanged. This method will takes the new location and here we need to check that the location is really changed. We will use the objects equals. The first value we'll get from current location field. It is our current value, and here we will pass the new location. And if these values are not equal, we will set new location to the component new location, and we need to enable our select action. This action by default is disabled, as we remember. We also inject it to controller, and we'll set enabled true. Let's invoke this method from here. We'll pass the location. Okay, and let's check our changes. I will refresh the page just in case. And let's select new location. Now we can see that animation works. The location is selected. I'll press select. Now we can see the street here. We save it for ls. Okay. Let's open users again. Try edit ls. And now we can see that the location is stored in the database. The current location is Madrid. Okay, it works. But when we open the location selection view, for instance, all markers for location, for instance, for offices or co-working spaces, have the same color of marker. And I think this is a drawback. It will be great if users can visually differentiate between offices or co-working space. For instance, offices will be marked by green color on the map, while co-working spaces will be marked by blue color. And the same requirement for the building area. Maps component provides API for styling features, displayed features. The main class is style. It contains information about image. It means that we can set a custom icon to the point, or for instance, render it as a circle or other shapes. The stroke, it describes line styling like width, color, dash, etc. The text style provides configuration for text rendering, and the field describes which color should be used for filling. So the current task is to set color difference between office and co-working spaces, like you can see on the slide. Office is green and co-working is blue. Firstly, we will use different markers for office and co-working space. To do this, we need to get data vector source. We have already added to the controller. And let me copy the prepared code snippet because it contains the code that is not interesting to type. I'm sorry. Let's use it in the building source, init building source method. I will pass it here. We'll configure the imports. And location type, text style, fill, the fill object, and padding from maps add-on. What is going on here? We configure the style provider. For every location in the data vector source, we create new style instance. This style instance contains information about icon. We configure the source for icon. For instance, depending on location type, we use office marker or coworking marker. These markers are placed in resources in our project in meta-inf resources path. Here in map icons, we have two files. Here we configure the position of displayed icon, and here we configure the text style. We configure the color, background color, the font, and the text itself. Let's apply changes, and let's take a look how it works in our application. Refresh the page to apply changes. And now we can see that the offices and coworking spaces have different icons. The office has green markers, and coworking has a blue icon. We configure the color for icons for building property, but we need to configure the same requirement for the polygon. I will also copy the prepared code snippet. Let me copy it and paste here. We also need to inject the building area source. I just type Alt plus Enter combination, and here I can select inject building area source. I press Enter, and this source is injected to our controller. We just need to invoke this new method, init building area source, and let me explain what is going on here. For every location in building area source, it means for every polygon in this data vector source, we create this new style with the fill configuration and stroke configuration. We choose these colors between depending on location type and configure the stroke style. Let me save the changes and apply them in our application. Refresh the page, and let's take a look at some location. It is not applied. Probably hot deploy is not working. Retry. Now we can see that the polygon has a green color, and the same will be for coworking. Let's select coworking space, for instance, Manchester. We can see the blue color. Okay, I think we complete all our tasks. We enable users to choose their base location using interactive map. We configure the color for our polygons and point. And in conclusion, we have covered all fundamental aspects of Jmix and demonstrated practical applications through the Maps add-on. For those keen to explore further, feel free to check our documentation and follow to the step-by-step tutorial on the Maps add-on. On the slide, you can see the useful links. Feel free to ask any questions in our support forum here. Also, you can find interesting UI samples in our demo application. Let's take a look at this. For instance, we have a lot of examples for charts, for maps, or other components. Here we have, for instance, base features examples. It is, you can see this subscribing for all events in the map, example with points, polygons, and other interesting things. for instance, clustering, heat map, and so on. You can find our documentation by this link, and the repository of Jmix you can find here. You can create, if you're sure you find that you found the issue, you can create new issue in our repository here. So thank you for watching.